Last time on Zero to Hero, our boy Sil finished up collecting the mounts. With a few mastery lines left to complete, will he actually get to play the game like a hero? Find out that and much more on this episode of Zero to Hero. So it's that time of year again. Dragon Bash is upon us, and normally I skip all of the festivals, but because of the Wizard's Vault and the Astral Claim bonuses for some of these items, I did finish the Dragon Bash stuff, which I think the main thing that is valuable for newer accounts or newer players is this weekly vendor giving you a bunch of Living World Season 4 currencies. You can get a decent amount of stuff from the traders. Even though I haven't gone through Living World Season 3 or 4 yet, I am bagging all of those currencies each week. The drawer breakers are kind of pricey, but I feel like it's going to be worth it once I am trying to gear the heal and condi sets for this account. I did work through the personal story, mostly for Core Tyria mastery points, which I was able to get all of the ones I needed for the auto loot mastery. That mastery is one of the best ones, if not the best mastery line in the game. And it's really unfortunate that that feature is locked behind that mastery line because of how good it feels to actually have it. Beyond that, I did get through the last of the few raids that I needed for Envoy 1. I just joined a Wing 3 full clear that was already at KC. We blasted KC in one pull, and the other thing I needed was the Aurelium Mirror, which is a part of the Twisted Castle. I also did go through some of the other wings. I joined an instance opening group, which basically do partial clears of raid wings so they can either train on certain bosses or sell open instances. So we did Veil Guardian and Spirit Run. We did Soulless Horror and Statues for Wing 5. We did Slothazor, Bandit Trio. So I got a lot of raid wings done this week, which is great because those magnetite shards come in real handy. I do feel bad for joining some of these groups just because bosses like Soulless Horror are a condi focused fight and I just don't have the gear for it. But it seems like Sunken Place doesn't really care who their pugs are as long as they don't brick the fights. So shout out to SP, those guys are great. Even though it wasn't coordinated, I just keep running into them. This is like the third raid that I did with these guys. So I haven't needed to use a Discord group up to this point, despite the majority of you guys being fine with it. Some suggested that I do join a guild or something, and the main issue that I have with guild runs is play times. Most guilds run around reset or they have an evening schedule, and typically that is outside of my normal playtimes. In North America, during my playtime, I've found that Raid Academy, especially the full clear raid pings tab, they tend to be pretty available during morning playtimes, at least when I did run those on my main account. Now, I haven't unlocked Janthier Wilds on this Zero to Hero account, and I'm not sure if I will. The vast majority of the hero stuff won't really need that expansion, so unless the spear comes out and completely changes the game with all the available builds, then I probably won't buy it on this account, and I'll just cover all of the new expansion stuff on my main account, which I already pre-ordered. I am still waiting to buy one of you guys, Mr. Crumb, the expansion. I do need to wait for them to release digital codes for that. That being said, one of you guys did ask if I had a referral link, and while I'm still working out ways for you guys to support this channel, I am not an ArenaNet partner, nor have I even applied to be one. I'm kind of on the fence because I do voice a decent amount of criticism about this game, and I don't want to give the wrong impression. Like, I love the game, I love playing it, but I am not shy about saying like, hey, this needs some work. And you know, that is their job as a company, is to provide a product that we enjoy. With that, I'm just kind of anxious if I do decide to go the partnership route. I don't want it to be a thing where I become a partner and then I say the wrong thing, or I make a joke, or I say something wrong, and then all of a sudden I'm getting blasted by the community for not towing the line or whatever it is. However, the North American hero, Mr. Sneb, does have a referral link, and he is planning on finishing up some real life KP, aka his doctorate degree, and he could use some extra cash so that way he can stay engaged with the community while he undergoes knows that process. He put out a whole video explaining his situation. But his referral link is in the description below if you haven't pre-ordered and you wanted to help him out. It's ultimately the same price either way. It's no cost to the buyer, but I'm trying to basically funnel people his way because I feel like, you know, he's got a family. Throw him a couple dollars. He does a lot for the community, you know what I mean? With that said, I did get back into fractals this week and I am almost out of tier 2. It kind of sucks because the newer fractals get like completely neglected. It's so hard to get a Silent Surf or a Lonely Tower group at lower tiers because nobody wants to run them. And not everyone at those tiers has the available gear sets to kind of smooth that process along. So I might need to just grind them out to break into tier 3. But like always, I am going to pose some questions for you guys this week and respond to last week's questions, and then we'll get into the comments section. So question 1 is, Envoy 1 collection is likely going to be completed this week, and what gear set do you think I should get? You have two options. I need a heal set and I need a condition virtuoso set, and I'm split between the two because I like both of the builds. What one do you think I should go for first? Question number 2 is, outside of the open world legendary armor with Soto, do you think that expansion will be highly replayable? We have had a lot of replayability in the previous expansions. Heart of Thorns is a perfect example of this. It was the first one. It is one of the oldest traditional expansion, but those metas get run literally every day to this day. So I'm kind of leaning that it's gonna be like getting the Gaiala Delve treatment ultimately. I'm really hoping that Janthier kind of takes from the Heart of Thorns era, from the Path of Fire era, or some of the Living World seasons, like even Icebrood Saga, like take the good parts that you see the community engaging with there and tailor some of that stuff towards that, tailor the reward structure around some of that stuff so that way it'll be replayable. Do you think Soto is going to be replayable? With that, last week's questions, I really only had one question. Like, I mean, the top half fish, bottom half fish question, like getting to it, nobody said top half fish, which shows that we have a very civilized audience here at Silhouette Gaming. Which, good for you guys. There was no degeneracy detected, which is awesome. But getting to the question last week, what systems rework would you like to see? And for me, I would love to see a currencies rework personally. I feel that so many game modes can share currencies, and other game modes have currencies that are like unsyncable. And a good example of this is UFE, which is a fractal currency, and it is EU's like #1 kill proof for fractals. The only thing that you can spend it on are like cosmetic infusions, which take a whole bunch of other valuable currencies as well, other resources. Legendary insights don't have any sync after you've made all the armors. And please ArenaNet, let me do something with all of these rift essences that just stack up. I know that there's a vendor that you can trade them for like trash, but I haven't had the motivation yet to grind the final mastery point to unlock that guy. And when ArenaNet decided to consolidate dungeon currencies a few years back, I was really hopeful that they were going to continue down this trend, but they haven't. And they've just introduced new stuff with like the green and blue profit shards for strikes, and it's unnecessary. And hopefully with Janthier Wilds coming out, raids will get a refresher and an LI sync will be added. I am pretty, like, I'm gonna make a prediction. The legendary backpack is gonna be a wing 8 thing. Just putting that out there. It might be a wing 8, wing 9 thing if they decide that raids are back on the menu. The backpack is gonna be raid related for sure. As for you guys, the majority of you fell into a handful of categories, which I think really shows that there's some common pain points in the Guildwars 2 systems. Those points being the LFG being absolute trash, which I completely understand. I primarily use the in-game LFG, and that's kind of why I asked, hey, should I use Discord? But the achievements panel was also highlighted. Starting with the LFG, there there were a lot of comparisons to other group finders in other games, which I can definitely see people abusing those kind of group finders, but realistically, people will find a way to abuse any system that gets introduced. Like the LFG gets abused already. People ask for a certain role and people join without that role anyway. So I could like, let's roll the dice and see, as long as they don't completely break it and make it worse, which I mean, it could happen, right? But as long as they don't make it worse, then I mean, we're moving in the right direction. As far as the achievement panel goes, a more traditional quest log would be helpful. I just think that the achievement panel or quest log system is really dated at this point. Like at first, when the game was released, the achievement panel was very manageable, just like the LFG was manageable when it got introduced. It wasn't introduced at launch. We used to have to use a website to find groups, but the longer the list keeps getting, the more things that they add to it, it just gets really hard to interact with. Staying on topic with the achievements, the collections panel especially is a pain point, and it could have sub menus in there or clean it up, but it should just be reworked entirely. You guys are absolutely right. Focusing on some singular comments, Jana wanted the removal of armor weights for the wardrobe system, which I think that would be freaking awesome. It would open up the whole fashion wars to another level. I think it is ultimately going to be trumped by the swimsuit coming out, because that's the only armor anybody's ever going to wear. But that's a great idea, and I think that that would be a good expansion feature, where it's like, oh yeah, you have a weapon mastery, you got armor mastery now, and you can like bada bing bada boom, you know what I mean? Like, sure, it's a feature that they could just add in, but like, hey, you could have $25 for that, sure, whatever. Raindrop wants a library for all of the lore books, which is an amazing idea, because I personally just destroy everything. Like if it's a lore book or a collection book or something, I trash it. At this point, I don't even care if it's valuable. It's getting trashed. Like most stuff that comes that's account bound, unless it's a legendary component, is getting trashed. But it would be cool to have stuff like the Spirit Quest tonic, as far as like the raid stuff, or other little items being pushed into like a novelties panel. I think those lore books, since it's just literally a book of text, it could definitely make its way into the UI and out of your inventory. My man Zed mentioned the quest log in the LFG and asked if it was just a him problem, which based on the comments, it's literally everyone, bro. Like nobody likes either of those things, and it is in dire need of some love. Joris said that I bought the commander's tag and I can use it however I want, which I will, and thanks man for backing me up. But this time I think I'm gonna rock with just the janky LFG. I am a part of the Skane Gang Discord, even though I've never used it. I am a part of Raid Academy, which would speed things up, but ultimately others said that it would take away from kind of the organic nature, and I'm trying to make this account kind of organic. Hey, you just buy the game, play the game, and you can make it through the content. So I'm trying not to use too many external resources. I will go over some of those resources kind of probably in a dedicated video, but getting involved in those discords will definitely help you achieve those achievements, especially if you don't really have a playtime that matches up with the guild you're running with, or if the guild you're running with is more casual and you don't want to like leave them to go pursue these achievements. Those discords really come in handy for stuff like that. The main thing that was holding me back from doing that is that my only Discord account is my Silhouette Gaming account, and I didn't want to just advertise. Some people do recognize me. I'm not saying I'm a community hero or a well-known figure or anything like that, but there are people that would recognize the account and join and carry, which I'm trying to avoid. Like I am not opposed to getting carried if it's just an organic, like people get carried all the time, but I do want to try to make it as legit an experience as possible, at least for this account. I don't want to influence the groups unnecessarily just because, hey, I make YouTube videos, you know? With that, I wanted to close this one out. I want to thank you all for watching. A special thanks to all of my subscribers and those of you who hit the like button, drop a comment. You guys are the real MVPs and motivate me to keep creating. Consider using Sneb's referral link in the description if you do want to pre-order the X-Pack. Thanks again, and I will see you on episode 13.